4 people died on June 9, 2025, not in a derailment, not in a collision. They fell out of a moving train because they had no choice but to hang off the door. And the government's answer to that, 10 months later, is a train with closed doors and no air conditioning in one of the hottest, most humid cities in the world. I'm sure there is some logic in the experiment, but sadly, the idea has been rejected by the railways in the past. So what changed now? Let me explain. Hello, I'm Khatija and you're watching Deep Dive on Lokmat Times. Before we start this video, please subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon for more updates. So on June 9, 2025, two fast suburban locals were crossing each other on a curved section between Diva and Mumbra. Passengers were hanging on the footboards of both trains, not for thrills but because the coaches were jam-packed and there was literally nowhere else to go. On a curve, coaches tilt slightly outward. At high speed, centrifugal force does the rest. The passengers on the footboards of both trains were thrust towards each other and then onto the tracks. At least 4 people died, several more were seriously injured. This was not a freak accident. GRP data, activist reports and local commuter complaints had flagged the Diva-Mumbra stretch as a black spot for years. The track geometry, the tight clearances between opposing fast tracks, the speeds, all of it was known. But the trains kept running the same way and people kept falling out of them. Following public outrage, the railway board issued orders. All new suburban rakes for Mumbai must be built with automatic door closing systems. And now, 10 months on, the first non-AC closed door rake, 12 coaches built at ICF Chennai, has arrived at Kurla and is going through trials. So far, so good, but here is where it gets complicated. Mumbai suburban trains carry somewhere between 6 and 8 million passengers every single day. On peak hour services on corridors like Thane CSMT or Kalyan CSMT, coaches routinely carry 3 to 4 times their design capacity. People are not just standing, they are pressed against each other, unable to move their arms, breathing other people's air. The doors, wide open, functions as the primary source of ventilation on every single coach. That is not an exaggeration, that is by design, because the coaches were designed around it. Now the new rake will keep those doors shut between stations, and instead of open doorways, it has 2 roof-mounted blower units per coach pushing air in, and louvered doors and windows letting some of it out. Officials say the system has been designed for Mumbai's conditions, including measures to prevent monsoon water ingress, which was a specific problem that sank earlier forced ventilation experiments on this network. That is the official claim. Now let's come to important part. Railway officials themselves previously declared sealed doors non-viable on non-AC suburban rakes without a complete redesign of the ventilation system, internal layout and capacity architecture. That was the finding from years of internal assessment. The prototype for automatic doors on Mumbai locals was repeatedly delayed because the engineering consensus was that you simply cannot seal coach built to breathe through its doors and expect forced ventilation to compensate under Mumbai's crush loads. And yet, here we are. Let's be fair to the idea. Footboard deaths are real and they are frequent. Hundreds of people die every year falling from open doors on Mumbai's suburban trains. Automatic doors, when they work, directly prevent that specific category of death. On AC locals, which already run with sealed automatic doors, they work fine. Metro system across the world run on the exact principle. The concept is not wrong, the problem is the execution. AC local works because the air conditioning handles thermal load. A metro works because it's designed from scratch as a sealed system. What Mumbai is attempting to do is take the sealed door philosophy and bolt it onto a non-AC coach that was engineered to run with its doors open. Reduce the ventilation to 2 roof blowers per car and call it solved. Commuters have already started calling it a furnace. One outlet quoted a passenger calling it a human oven. These are not dramatic reactions. In May and June, when temperatures in Mumbai can touch 38 to 40 degrees Celsius with 80 to 90% humidity, a sealed coach full of sweating, pressed together bodies, even with roof blowers running, will absolutely get hot. The question is, how hot and what happens to elderly passengers, people with heart conditions, children, anyone carrying weight? Nobody has published that data yet. There is no publicly available analysis of air changes rates. Internal temperature rise under crush load or performance variation between dry heat and peak monsoon conditions. The trials are happening, but what gets tested and what gets disclosed are two different things. There is also an operational problem that doesn't get talked about enough. Automatic doors need time to open, time to close, and they reopen when blocked. At Dadar or Thane during morning peak hours, where thousands of people are trying to board and alight simultaneously, door cycles will extend stations' dwell times. Longer dwell times means trains run late. Late trains means worse punching. Worse punching means the next train arrives even more packed. You can see where this goes. And then there are emergencies. Mumbai commuters have over generations developed an informal protocol for train disruptions. If a train stops between stations, you wait a bit, then people start jumping down and walking along the tracks. It is illegal, it is unsafe, but it happens and drivers know it. In a sealed train with automatic doors, that informal escape valve is gone. What replaces it needs to be explicitly designed. Clear emergency override procedures, multilingual announcement, staff training, regular drills. So, has any of that happened? It is not clear. The Mumbra accident demanded a response. Automatic doors are part of a legitimate answer. But the specific choice to build non-AC closed door rakes instead of accelerating the rollout of fully air-conditioned sealed door trains reveals something about priority. AC local exist, they work. Scaling them up costs money and requires lowering fares for ordinary commuters through subsidies or structured pricing. That is a political and financial decision. A non-AC sealed rake is cheaper to build and lets the railway board say it acted on safety. Whether it actually improves conditions for the 6 million people riding non-AC trains every day. In that heat, in the rain, packed in like cargo, is a harder question that requires data, honest trials, and public accountability. Right now, what's being offered is a prototype, some official optimism, and no published numbers. That is not enough for a system that moves this many people under these conditions. The right move is to treat this rake as a genuine, tightly monitored pilot, test it in off-peak conditions first, measure temperatures and air quality under different loads, publish the result, get civil society and technical experts to review, and make the next decision based on what the data says, not on what the press release needs it to say. Because 4 people died at Mumbra, those who are alive deserves better than a furnace with closed doors. So that's all. If you commute daily on Mumbai Local, do let us know what you think about this experiment in the comments below and keep watching Lokmat Times for more such stories.